"Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, with the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing that any country so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are gathered on a great battlefield of this civil war, and we are dedicating a portion of this as a resting place to those who gave their lives so this great nation might live. It is all so fitting and proper that we should do this." And this is part of a speech of the Gettysburg Address given by Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. While many men died and gave their lives during the Civil War, one of my favorite generals was Thomas Stonewall Jackson. As a Civil War buff, I've come to know many of the people who served in the Civil War. Thomas Jackson showed kindness, integrity, perseverance throughout his life. Now, Thomas Jackson had to overcome a lot of personal difficulties when he was young. At the age of 2, he lost his father and his older sister to typhoid fever. His mother soon remarried and then shipped him off to live with other relatives. She soon, after that, died in childbirth. Thomas Jackson then applied to the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, New York, but was turned down initially. After a while, he was accepted when the first choice from his district withdrew his application. While he was not the smartest student and he struggled with his classes, Jackson ended up graduating 17th out of 59 students. Right after graduation, he was thrown into the Mexican-American War. And right after the war, he was promoted to brevet major and was considered a war hero upon returning. He retired from the military in 1851 and was given a teaching position at the Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia. Now, he wasn't the best teacher, but he was considered a great tactics teacher by everyone. In 1853, he married, but soon after that, his wife died in childbirth and lost the girl as well. Later, he remarried, and after losing a second child, his second wife and he were blessed with a baby girl. Now, who would have known that with all this personal tragedy in his life, Stonewall Jackson will go down as one of the greatest military generals of all time. Now, as states were taking sides in the Civil War, Jackson wanted Virginia to remain in the Union. When Virginia chose the South, he decided to keep his allegiance with his home state. When he was ordered back into service, he was soon promoted to Brigadier Commander and Brigadier General under Joseph E. Johnston. According to the Stonewall Jackson papers, which are letters Jackson wrote while he was there, he received the nickname Stonewall during the First Battle of Bull Run. Jackson charged his troops into bridge a gap in the defensive lines while protecting against the Union attack. General Bernard E. Bee, seeing this, commented, "Now look, there's Stonewall. There's Jackson standing like a stone wall." Afterwards, the nickname stuck, even though Jackson wanted it to go to his troops, not him. His second chance at glory was during the Shenandoah Valley campaign. He took 17,000 of his men, marched 646 miles in 48 days, and continually engaged the front line of the Union troops so they would not be able to reinforce the Union attack against Richmond. Soon after that, General Lee, Robert E. Lee, brought him under his command and was soon promoted to Major General. But Jackson's biggest success was the Battle of Chancellorsville. Imagine the Union Army surrounding a small Virginia town. General Lee called Jackson in early in the morning to ask his opinion as to what they should do. Jackson had a suggestion. He said he should take his troops down an unmarked Virginia road in complete silence and surprise the flank of the Union Army. Lee agreed to this, and it was a success. General Jackson caught the Union Army completely by surprise and caused a complete collapse and retreat of all the troops in Chancellorsville. Unfortunately, that day of success was also a day of tragedy for Jackson. While inspecting his lines at night, Jackson was shot at by his own troops, and he died 10 days later of pneumonia. According to Stonewall Jackson as military commander by John Selby, there's a quote that sums up the life of Thomas Jackson. "Captain, my religious belief teaches me to be as safe in battle as in bed. God has fixed the time of my death. I do not concern myself with that, but to be ever ready whenever it should overtake me. This is the way all men should live. Thus all men would be equally brave." I enjoyed the outcome and was glad that the Union won the Civil War, but again, one of my favorite all-time generals was Thomas Stonewall Jackson. Thank you very much.